Why is it important for us to have vaccines? And that's basically, if you look at this curve, if we really looked at trying to immune person get what we call herd immunity, and with a lot of measures in between in terms of social isolation and other things, wearing a mask, it would still take a very long time for us to have a large number of people who would have immunity. That can really be hiked up with the vaccination, and that is why a vaccine is needed. When we look at a vaccine, we have three important things that we need to keep in mind. One is the antigen, the antigen which will go into the human body and produce the antibodies which will help us to fight against the virus. And we know that from a lot of literature that the spike protein on the COVID-19 is the one which can produce a large amount of antibodies. The second thing which confuses a lot of people is the platform by which the vaccine is delivered. And we have various platforms. We have the inactivated or killed virus platform. We have the live attenuated virus vaccine platform, the recombinant viral vaccine, the protein subunit vaccine, the VLP, and the DNA vaccine. These are all platforms which actually help to deliver the vaccine into the human body. And they have various routes and regimens. We all know currently we're using the intramuscular route, and we're giving two doses, the initial priming dose and the booster dose as far as vaccine is concerned. And for the first time in the history of mankind, do we have so many viruses, so many vaccines that can expose the body to an antigen that won't cause a disease and will provoke a good immune response. We have inactivated, weakened, the viral vector, and so many other vaccines. If you look at candidates which are available in different categories, we have Covaxin, which is an inactivated vaccine. Sinovac is also an inactivated vaccine. We have a vector-borne vaccine which uses the adenovirus. Covishield uses the chimpanzee adenovirus, and the Sputnik uses the human recombinant adenovirus. And then we have the messenger RNA and the DNA vaccines. Pfizer and Moderna are the messenger RNA vaccines. For the first time in the history, has India become so much involved in R&D as far as vaccine is concerned. India was the manufacturing hub as far as vaccine is concerned. 60% of the global vaccines for children and for pregnant women were provided by India. But the research component, the R&D component, was not that strong. But now if you look at what's happening, we have Covishield, which is in collaboration with Oxford and AstraZeneca. Covaxin is a Bharat Biotech vaccine. Zydus Cadila is coming out with their own DNA-based vaccine. Sputnik is basically with Gamaleya Institute that Dr. Reddy Laboratory has collaborated. And we have various other institutes like Biological E, Genovia in Pune, all doing research in collaboration and coming out with so many vaccine candidates. So the vaccine landscape has changed dramatically as far as our country is concerned, from manufacturing to now very aggressive R&D. And because of that, we need to have a lot of preclinical work, which looks at vaccines to animals, monitoring for side effects. The phase 1 trial, which is basically done on a small number of healthy individuals to look for side effects and to really get an idea of the dose. And then a phase 2 trial, which looks at the demographic side effects and the efficacy in terms of COVID-19, the neutralizing antibodies. And then a very large phase 3 trial, which looks at how the vaccine behaves as far as community is concerned. Now, vaccine development has usually taken years, decades as a matter of fact. But because scientists came together, because of the work that had already been done, we had the COVID-19 vaccine available in less than 1 year. The rapid pace was enabled by multiple factors. One is prior knowledge, the spike protein in coronavirus. This was already known because of previous work being done on MERS coronavirus and SARS. And new technologies had had been developed, not for COVID, but even for Ebola and for even MERS coronavirus, which was nucleic acid vaccine technology. And we were able to do a lot of things in parallel rather than sequence in terms of the trials. And therefore, rather than going through a sequence of preclinical phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3 studies, these were done in parallel. Safety and efficacy, and a lot of investment was done by governments, by the industry to really be able to get vaccine as early as possible. And I feel that maybe in the next few months, vaccines will start coming in less than 1 year, maybe 6 months to 9 years. Currently, if you look at vaccine development, there are almost 69 vaccines which are in various clinical development stages, and 181 vaccines which are in preclinical development. Never before we had so many vaccines being looked at for one virus. And this is just to give you a breakdown of the different varieties of vaccine that we're looking at, from protein subunit to viral vector to DNA. There's a whole branch. And if you start looking at the phase of trials that I discussed, they're in different stages as far as phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and the approval stage is concerned. But for any country and for anyone that is looking at a vaccine, the program has to look at development and production. What is the capacity to develop and produce the vaccines? Is it affordable for that country? How do we deploy it? Is it feasible considering the cold chain that has to be maintained? And remember, some vaccines need very low temperature. And how do we prioritize as far as vaccine delivery is concerned? These factors become very important for any country, and these were factors which were important for India also when it considered rolling out the vaccine program. If you look at the vaccine production capacity, if you look at the Pfizer vaccine, they had an estimate of 50 million doses in 2020 and 1.3 billion doses in 2021. The challenge is that this requires minus 70 degrees cold chain maintenance, and it needs 2 doses. The Moderna vaccine, again, the company had said that they could have 20 million doses in 2020 and around 500 million to 1 billion doses in 2021. Again, requires minus 20. But if you look at the Indian vaccines, the AstraZeneca or the Serum Institute vaccine, by 2021, the company is confident that they can have up to 3 billion doses. And this requires just maintenance of 4 to 8 degrees, and therefore distribution, storage and handling of the vaccine can be done using existing infrastructure, and 2 doses are required. Covaxin also, currently around 20 million doses are available, but they have the capacity to really hike this up to 700 million doses. And again, the existing infrastructure is sufficient. So these 2 vaccines seem to be suitable both in terms of the cost and in terms of the distribution, which is very, very important for a country like India.